Alrighty, a pleasant good evening to you guys wherever you are. This is Lavi Gumbs, and I'm here to present to you the real talk right down here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And tonight we have some beautiful people in here with us. I can't believe that tonight. This is just our second episode, and already we having two guests in the house. Hello.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Nice to be here.
Nice, awesome. Well, before I give introduce the guy's name, I am going to, let the good folks out there know last week we had the first episode, and our featured guest was none other than the ex-commissioner, chief of commissioner, that's Dr. C.G. Walwyn. And, we was basically congratulating him on his many posts. You can't keep up with this man, He's always soaring. So wherever you are, Dr. C.G. Walwyn, pleasant good evening to you. Real Talk tonight is a show of education and empowerment. When it comes to Real Talk, we are inviting persons to come on and share your testimony, share your experience, share whatever achievement, anything with positive energy. And we're focusing on politics, empowerment, relationships, business, well-being and wellness, and what else? Family, right? So tonight we have here in the studio with lovely lavish Lavi, we have none other than Azhar Gumbs. That's an attorney at law, a very young, aspiring politician, but he will tell you more about himself. And hey, folks, okay, I was kind of being nervous. When you're just coming in, and Lavi, don't be nervous. But anyway, guess who we have here? Folks, the Real Talk just started, and I'm reaching out to people. And we have none other than someone that, we're seeing on social media for quite some time. Sometimes people will say, he always writing these long lectures, but trust me, they have a lot of knowledge and, they have a lot of knowledge and good stuff in there. And we have him right here in the studio. This is someone that is always calling in on the radio. I know you guys are out there wondering, well, who she got, how she could get him. This is the power of Real Talk, positive energy. And this evening we have a well-known educator, or should I say retired educator, but education don't stop. So we have a brilliant, vibrant man right here, none other than Mr. Ira McMahon.
Wow. What can I say after that introduction? Yes, I couldn't resist taking up the invitation. Yes, I'm accustomed to be commenting mostly on people's pages. Yes, they're kind of long, but superficial just isn't me, so I don't apologize for the length at all.
Yes.
Been an educator for over 30 years, retired early, went into the private sector for a while, then migrated to see what metropolitan living was like. And when I got tired of that, I came back home. And when I returned, actually, I was kind of challenged by an acquaintance. She said, how can you retire? How can somebody like you retire? Go write a book or something. And I chose or something. And that or something ended up being on radio, on the talk shows, call it in. Interestingly enough, it was not about politics, right? It was more mundane things. I had done some traveling and saw best practices of things being applied elsewhere and thought that it should be applied in our country as well to
share,
uplift
just to
it.
share,
of course,
sharing.
Exactly. And so that is how it really started. In addition to that, I was a news junkie. I liked a good debate. In fact, the very first Leeward Islands debate, I participated in it, representing St. Kitts. It was myself and Spencer Amory. We beat Montserrat, but we lost to Antigua. It was all my fault. my rebuttal was terrible. But I like good, healthy debates, okay? And so that is why I engage in both in social media and on the talk shows. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, that started around the end of 2014, going into 2015 election. And you know what kind of atmosphere we had around that time,
Oh,
right?
tell me about
that
it.
was a really silly season, right? And so, I jumped into it, liked the challenge, and here am I still, right? Generally speaking, I'm not into party politics like Azad is. It's just not in my DNA to be a card-carrying member of any party because you're expected to toe the line. Those are organizations I don't particularly feel comfortable in, right? That and like military and those kinds of organizations. Because basically you're told what to do and you do it otherwise. And I didn't like that. But my politics generally has been left of center. And to the extent that that identifies with Labour Party philosophy, it did come over as being pro-Labour. And so I was labeled like everybody else is labeled, but don't worry about that. Lavi mentioned a number of different topics. I'm not an expert in any of them. I'm not even an expert in politics. So,
Right. But
take
you love politics.
Yeah, because politics is virtually everything. We could take a textbook definition of politics, but we don't have to go there because virtually everything is politics, right? And it definitely sparks my interest, keep the brain functioning, so to speak. And so I guess I'll continue it for some time longer. Keep people like Azad on their toes,
Right. Something that really interested me, Mr. Mahan. I remember a few years ago, and I'm like, who is this man? His stuff is really long, but it made sense. And now you're still here continuing on the radio. And I just feel like this is a great time because I really want you, as we continue discussion this evening, and for folks that are out there listening, this is the Real Talk with Lavi, a new show that just came here on WINN FM. It's a collaboration with the Real Talk with Lavi on social media. And as you know, we have people from all over the globe that is listening to us. And before I continue, I have to say good evening to Jeffrey Bass down in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. Jeffrey has always told me, so Lavi, calling everybody name. Everybody always coming on. I work so hard and you don't call me name. So tonight, good evening to you, Jeffrey Bass down here in St. Thomas. He's definitely listening. Mr. Mahan, I really want to go touch this evening because people will hear of politics and they waiting to hear what Lavi is going to come out and say. There's persons out there just waiting for me to mess up to have a say about that. But I cannot mess up because when you bring your truth and when you mean well for the country and when you're just being your authentic. But I really want to go into the governance of politics, and that's one of the reason I asked you to be here tonight. The same thing for Azad. I know Azad is an aspiring politician, and he will tell you all about that. And this gave me a great opportunity to be able to do something like this because we should not limit anyone. The Real Talk with Lavi is about inclusion. And when I said inclusion, old, young, wherever you are, local, diasporas. And I don't want to say too much because I'm going to let you guys take over just now. But so far, we already have, I would say at least over 12, persons already booked for the Real Talk. So, we have people going to be coming on. And we have people from all caliber. We even have a governor and a lieutenant going to be on the Real Talk. I'm not going to give his name as yet, but this is what the Real Talk is about. We are not just local, we're regional, we're international. because we're Kittitian, as I say, we're small but we're Talawa, but we have to make it happen right here on Real Talk at WINN FM.
Yes, so I know that Mr. McMahon indicated, about looking at the governance of St. Kitts and Nevis and being involved in politics from the outside and not being a part of the political organization. I must say that I took the decision to be a part of a political organization in 2019. In fact, prior to that, I had never worn not even a political shirt. I attended public meetings with my father numerous times and would listen to the various public meetings by the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and the People's Action Movement. And at one point in time, UNEP, the party that was formed, I think sometime in either the early 2000s
Yes.
with Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown. And so my interest stemmed there. In fact, I was a part of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association.
So I hate interrupting, but how old would you have been then?
I think about 13, 14.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I
Wow.
became a member of the Youth Parliament Association at the age of 14. I debated as a youth parliamentarian in the National Assembly. And from there, the very first time, I think it sparked something within me. In fact, I remember in fourth form when I first debated, I actually thought that, going back to school and doing the classroom, it felt like that wasn't me. And so I from then I realized that this is something that I have an interest in, and I then tried as much as possible to make sure that I exercised that interest. I then became a member of student government when I left to go to the University of West Indies. I'm president of the St. Kitts Nevis Student Association, president of the UWI Law Society, and the law representative on the Guild of Students at the Capitol campus. And so I say all of this to say that I had always had an interest in nation building and service even before the party politics. And I think of it as an avenue, Mr. McMahon, to actually effect change. Whether or not I would forever be a part of a political party, it's something for me to determine based on the impact that I can give and based on what I see coming forth as part of a political party. I say this to say, if I see that a political party perhaps doesn't represent the views that I represent or doesn't really go along the lines where I think it should go, then I am not afraid to exit that political party and become a voice outside of it. But I felt that it was necessary to be a part of the structure if it is that you want to effect change.
Can I ask a question? Azad, you're a lawyer, and we have been having quite a few lawyers and doctors, right? What kind of change can you bring, to the politics, considering that many persons, remember this is real talk, and I'm delivering from what many people will be saying, right? That a lot of people are just getting tired of persons that hold certain positions and not being transparent, not being honest. So how do you see yourself as a young parliamentarian?
Well, I see myself as someone who is honest. In fact, I like to tell persons as it is in terms of the truth. I oftentimes, when you talk to people about politics and politicians, they might say, well, you might be a little too soft for politics. You might be a little too nice for politics. You may be too honest for politics. And hearing those views, I think, and consider, then what kind of politicians do we really want? Do we want persons who are manipulative? Do we want persons who are unkind to each other? And do we want persons who are not honest? And so the type of person that I am, I try to be as honest as possible. I try to be as real as possible. We're on Real Talk with Lavi, just as you say that, to live your truth. And so I try as much as possible to be me, to be genuinely me, and to try my best regardless of the situation and circumstance. So what I bring to the platform, as I have always brought, I think bring a level of transparency and honesty, and I hope to continue that.
So we're going to be seeing some action then. So, you bring in the truth, but the people want action. So although persons might think that you're soft, technically Azad is not soft because you're a man of delivering and, standing to your truth.
And in fact, I don't think that we always have to be rude, disrespectful. I look at the things that I have done throughout the time. I think about being a part of the UE Guild of Students, where it is that I came from a small country. In fact, during my time, the faculty was dominated by Jamaicans. Jamaicans were president of the society time after time. In fact, when I ran, persons thought that I was crazy to run for such a position. And then I won that position overwhelmingly. I say all of this to say this, that I think that persons, once you put your whole heart into something and once you do it at the best of your ability, being as honest as possible, then there's no way that you could lose because persons tend to see that. And I think that one doesn't have to be disrespectful, one doesn't have to be rude, and I think that even currently being the chairman of the People's Action Movement, if someone was to tell me that being a part of the executive in 2019, 4 years after I would be chairman, I would say that they're crazy. And perhaps persons who hold that view of being soft would say, well, you'll never be chairman, but look at it. At this point in time, I am currently the chairman of a political party. And so I say all of this to say this, that one should embrace be someone who is respectful, someone who is honest, and someone who you feel would, at the end of the day, put your best interests at heart.
Well, again,
Can I push him some more, though?
of course. Go ahead.
When you've been around as long as I have, you've seen politicians come and go. And it's almost as if it's a recurring cycle. It never changes, right? And we have this very cynical view. For instance, I can quote somebody who said, we hang the petty thieves and we appoint the great ones to office. Or 90% of politicians give the other 10% a bad name, right? When you have that level of cynicism, because of the record, what people have seen over the years, how do you fit into that environment? It always seems as if you're all gung-ho for change, you go in wanting to do well, and once you get into office, whether it's the trappings of power or whatever it is, it just seems that you just end up as being the same old politician.
Thing, yeah.
I think, too, when I look at it, and I understand what you're saying, because I look at persons who have served in different office, I look at maybe their history. What I've found is that, from my observation, because I've never sat in parliament, I've never been elected to such a high office, but from what I can find is that as Kittitians and Divisions, we carry this level of tribalism, where it is that when one person's party is in power, it's almost to the detriment of those supporters who oppose the other party. And we have persons who might have been victimized by a party, who might have been ridiculed, who might have suffered some sort of loss, and they carry with them vengeance. They carry with them a mentality that, okay, then it was their time then, it is my time now. Not really understanding and trying to forgive and trying to think about how can I make the system better, but a more of it's my time now, and the same way in which you have caused pain or hurt to me or my family, I'm going to do the same to you. And so I believe a lot of times, based on the constant tribalism, persons are coming within office with some sort of vendetta or some sort of animosity held by them towards the party that was once in power. So I think if it is that you can understand that if you really want to create change, that you become the change that you want to see, I think that is a step forward.
Right.
But you, what you've described there is the environment of the politics. You going into that, because you must realize that it's hard, it's not just one or two people who are like that. You have practically a whole group of people that represent the parties, the two parties, who feel the same way. How can you, as an individual, go in and change that?
Mr. McMahon, 1 second. Remember, you're not the host.
I'm familiar.
I know,
fully aware
but
of
some of the,
But I just wanted to get that
I
from you,
understand,
you know?
but for now, I really want to I want to hear what you have to say when it comes to governance.
Well, governance has been a problem in our country for a while. Okay, we can of course have good governance and bad governance. I think the whole governance issues really came to the fore in 2015. After that, that's when everybody started talking about good governance. It became a buzzword. Okay, and the way I feel about it is we should not depend on any individual politicians to have good governance. What's more important is the systems that bring about good governance, so that it doesn't matter who is in office, okay? Because you can have people with different perceptions, different perspectives on the issue, but if they are held accountable by the systems, I think our governance would improve. What we've had over the years, and to some extent it still obtains, we've seen the new government, for instance, pushing the good governance stuff. The thing is, that has been like that over the years as well. It's almost as if you either, governance is such that good governance is such that you either have it or you don't. This incremental thing doesn't work, okay? And that has been happening over the years, where you put a little toe in the water, you pass something, you don't operationalize it. It's always like that.
And as I said, this is a real talk for those of you that are out there. Tonight we have two great people in the house with us, and I think I'm going to have to bring them back because I want to be in a situation where Mr. McMahon will get a chance to ask the question, but tonight wasn't really for that. But Mr. McMahon and Azad too, what I realize that persons are asking, what is it going on in St. Kitts and Nevis with they feel that every government goes in, it becomes more like an individual than for the people of the country. And when I said that, maybe, and I have to be clear of this because this is a real talk. Everything that I come and I bring here, I am just representing persons that will come in my inbox and what I've been hearing, right? So when it comes to the government itself, when they get elected and they go in, and they're saying that this is happening for all the parties. There has not been any change where everybody just coming in and dealing with individual, like they're selecting individual. And, person say, Lavi, that can't work, it's going to destroy our people. There's another thing that they touch on and say, Lavi, you have to ask about this. Persons are saying, why is it Nevis have a local elections and St. Kitts don't have a local election? It's St. Kitts basically have a government for the federation, but they don't have a local government, and that they're saying that this is an advantage to the people of St. Kitts.
A disadvantage.
Disadvantage, yes. You see, that's why I bring you in here now.
No, but if by individual, the emphasis on the individual, you mean that there's a brand, a style of politics where it's all about the personalities of those who wield the power. And yes, I've noticed that too, where there seems to be this cult of the personality type thing, which is always dangerous because one person can't run a country successfully, okay? And you can't, yes, if you have a particularly charismatic person, okay, I can get personal, but I won't. But we've we've seen instances where you have a really charismatic person who people like, but he doesn't deliver. Okay?
So you're saying
there's
now-
the flamboyance,
So
but
you're
there
saying-
isn't the performance.
So you're saying now, likability, that's supposed to be a check. It's okay, but it's not okay.
It's okay if it can be followed up with performance. You've got
So
to deliver
it's,
for the people.
how about maybe a personality or popularity?
I think
Popularity is an important thing for leadership.
Yes.
I am not discounting it,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm saying is they have to have more substance than that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I find often too, and when we look at the political atmosphere, the arena now, you find that oftentimes people vote, as Mr. McMahon has indicated, based on popularity. We don't look at the individual and see what have that individual done on his or her own. How has that individual lived his or her life, and what accomplishments have that individual done privately to show that they can really govern a country if given the resources. I think oftentimes we look at political parties, and there are persons who support a political party regardless what that party does. And so unless we are able to change that mindset where we are looking at candidates, and we are looking at candidates from the perspective that I am going to support this candidate regardless of the political party in which this person supports, regardless as to the popularity of the candidate, but the substance in which he or she brings.
Correct. But Azad, when you really look at it, we really don't have much of a choice because we really don't even have individual politicians having even discussions and debates like this. So it all boils down to the party. Because where are you going to, over the years, have you ever seen you have even what we're doing like this? We don't even see this. Even by me having you here, and this another thing, this is the real talk, persons will brand Lavi because Azad is here representing a different party.
Well, Azad is here representing himself, who by extension is a member and a chairman of a particular party.
And that's my whole point. That is my whole point. Azad is here as an individual, right? And he's also here because he's someone that I know, and this is nothing with any friend. I wanted to make a change for our federation and for myself as well by, being able, as one will say, I got to say good evening to Mr. Nigel Muckle, and I'm going to be real, when people think as they can use social media to trash our people, and this continue not just with the people, it goes on to persons that become leaders, where it doesn't stop. There's a lot of gaslighting. And I'm not here trying to attack anyone, but I'm using these things to be positive. When persons going to see people coming out and want to make an effort, we actually put in a name to the person when the person's a hairdresser. So who is she to come and do this? There's this closed mindset of what we have. So we will feel better knowing, okay, we come from China, we come from India. I know this, no, I'm please help me, I'm not here to discredit anybody. But why can't we just allow our people? And that's what I love about Jamaicans, I would always say that Jamaicans are unique. Mazar.
But Lavi, that's his brand. So I wouldn't bother about that. Maybe if you speak to him.
No. I think you kind of missing what I'm saying. I'm not talking directly about that person. I'm talking in general.
Yeah. But you use that as an example. And what I'm saying,
Okay,
I'm saying is, social media is such that you form a brand, and sometimes it's not. It can be a distasteful brand, but it works.
But sometimes
for that person.
Correct. But sometimes no disrespect, but some people really don't have a brand. It's a difference having a page, and it's a difference having a profile. So the page, so now you're learning, some of the things that we see people are using to trash people is not even a brand, it's a profile. It's a difference from a profile page, and it's a difference from a page itself.
Well, trust me, in this particular case, it's going after everybody the same way. That's why I call it a brand.
Oh, okay.
You kind of expect that person to do things like that.
Right, correct, we can't change everybody, and that is what, and that is exactly what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, remember, as you said, that's how people. But I have a brand too, and this is a real talk. And if somebody gonna think they could trash me out there, I am not gonna trash them. But depending on what we're talking about, I am gonna use that because it's not going to stop Lavi from being who she is or somebody else too. So it's not even about me. And if I don't
Well,
address
yeah.
these things, right? Remember, it's not about me. If I gonna just like put up my hand and somebody gonna say, wait, well, and I'm gonna say it because this is a real talk.
We give it, but we're giving him and them too much legs.
No, not
And
necessarily.
don't forget that,
Right.
that your second question about what the people were saying, because
But and that's it. But Mr. McMahon, apart from giving, because I am not even talking about a particular person now. I just use the opportunity, and if you notice, I say good evening to them. You understand what I mean? That's the stage of where I'm at. So don't read too deep into that. Because if it ain't that person, it will be somebody else. That's my whole point. And what we're saying is that Real Talk going to come here, and we're going to be here to bring people to stay focused, regardless of what people say, and just welcome other people to come on. Even the naysayers, we need them because they're our followers.
But
you know?
perhaps, Azad, I'd like your opinion on what Lavi said about the arrangements between St. Kitts and Nevis, because that's been an issue forever as well. One of those issues that nobody seemed to want to deal with. I mean, they recognize it. We recognize, for instance, that they need constitutional reform to deal with a lot of issues that we have around here, including the one that was mentioned.
Correct.
But nobody seems, there's no movement on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You know?
see
So-
that Azad, Azad, I keep on saying aspiring a politician. So are you really a politician?
I am an individual who has always had an interest in nation building and service, and in whatever capacity I could serve to a greater extent, I'll take that opportunity. So,
And I think you're going to do well.
so if it is that politics is that avenue, I've already started by being a part of a political party and being an executive member of a political party. And so if politics is that way, then so be it. If the
Claim it.
opportun-
Claim it.
if the
Claim it
oppo-
now. You have the choice.
no, if it is that, by whatever means, because I have not been selected as a candidate for any upcoming election.
Okay.
And so until that is done, and I cannot say that, I am a politician, even I'm one who has an interest, but the interest is there. And so I always say that if one door closes, so if it is that I am unsuccessful in this area, then another door opens, and I would take the opportunity to serve in whatever capacity and whatever door is open for me. I like to say, too, that when it comes to St. Kitts and Nevis and the Constitution, I realize back in the day, or we look at the history, and I have listened to Sir Kennedy when he gave his lecture, and, at that time, we had Nevis that was really pushing secession. And so I thought, when looking at the history, it was a compromise. I often tell people that there is a St. Kitts and Nevis, and then there's Nevis, because St. Kitts doesn't exist in the Constitution as a separate entity. I really do believe that there should be some constitutional reform whereby we have an arrangement that is perhaps similar. The discussion has to be had, but we welcome other persons, or I would welcome perspective from other persons. From me thinking about it, because I've often thought about it, and I'm sure other citizens have thought about it as well, having perhaps a St. Kitts Island Council and a Nevis Island Council, and then we have a federal cabinet where persons from maybe each council sit on however that is determined. And so that is a consideration. So we could improve it, and so we have some sort of equality between the countries.
Right, because there's also a twin island, Antigua and Barbuda, and there's only one prime minister, right? Do they have a premier?
Even in the federal arrangement, there would be just one
Yes.
prime minister. But the thing is, what I don't understand is that so many people recognize the failings here, but yet there's no movement on it. Okay, it's like it's always put on the back burner. We kick the can down the road until something happens, and all kinds of quirks arrive, all kind of difficulties. Like for instance, the fact that the premier of Nevis is the opposition leader.
Yeah,
that-
it does
that's
give a
crazy.
very tight rope to walk on.
Somebody said to me today, Lavi, how can, and this was somebody from Nevis. They called me and they said, Lavi, how can a Vision diaspora, how can the premier be the opposition? And whenever the oppositions stand up to talk, he shut them up or he, what is happening?
Mr. McMahon.
Mr. McMahon,
It's
the
me?
question is for you, yes.
I thought it was for the politician.
No. Well, it's not really for the politician. We're talking in general, like,
Yeah.
so it's not.
Well, like
just,
I said,
yes.
like I
Well,
said,
as Mr. McMahon
it's-
has indicated,
yeah, it's a difficult.
it's a
it's
difficult
difficulty, you know?
way in which you are premier of, as you said, Nevis and leader of the opposition. And so it's a very difficult balance to bridge because on one hand, you would hope that the premier is in support of, the federal government in terms of ensuring that things are handled to the best interest of the country as a whole. Not saying that if you serve as leader of the opposition, that's not your position as well. But the opposition, a lot of persons say the opposition is to oppose and to ensure that they keep the government's feet to the fire. But that comes too at a cost, even when it comes to communication, it comes to corresponding between each other.
Worse. The fact is the leader of the opposition is in charge of is supposed to be the chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, which is supposed to hold the government accountable. So how can you be the gatekeeper of yourself?
All right, folks, it
It makes
is.
no sense.
So again, as you said, really and truly, if one has to look at the political structure in St. Kitts and Nevis and look at our constitution, there is room for improvement. And I don't think that it was a perfect document. We realize that laws develop, laws change, and so too our constitution being the supreme law of the land. The American
Azad, what I want to hear you say that you're going to go in and make a difference. It is 8:40. You're on Real Talk with Lavi Gumbs. And Azad, like I said, listen, you want me to throw myself in the ring? You got to say you're
Go
going to
for
do it. That's what you're coming for, to make change.
that is my goal.
And that's
Correct.
that's the difficulty of being in a political party, by the way. You might have great ideas and want to push them, but then you're in a party structure and you have to temper them. You have to, because you need the support of others.
Absolutely. All righty. So, folks, if you're just listening, this is the Real Talk with Lavi, and my guest right here is Mr. McMahon, Ira McMahon, and we have attorney at law, Azad Gumbs. He carried the same name like me. I wonder if we related, eh? What I'm seeing here, persons are messaging me and they say, Lavi, this is something different that you're bringing here. I don't think it's something different. I just think that it's something that needed to be here, something brave, something where persons can come on and have a platform where you can just speak your truth. And it don't have to be with politics, but Mr. McMahon, I listen to him every day, and, persons. By the way, Mr. McMahon, I'm going to tell you what people are saying about you. So, Lavi, this man, Ira McMahon, he don't call in all the time, he don't make a lot of sense, but it looked like he's anti now, like he's no longer a Labour supporter. So, you want to address that?
Well, like I said, I was never a card-carrying party member. Okay, it's just that my philosophy, because of my pretty much left-of-center philosophy, that identifies with Labour Party philosophy generally. Okay, that's the only connection. All right, it's not that I'm disappointed, because really and truly, it hasn't been a long time, but I really thought that more progress would have been made in certain areas. Okay, because
can you, in all fairness, more progress in certain areas as call name, say something.
Okay. One, to me, it's still taking too long for the good governance agenda to be operationalized. Yes, there is progress, but 5 years run away pretty quickly, and you can't expect to govern for a big quantity of that 5 years without these things in place. And you're still hearing things, accusations of things that went on in the previous administration that didn't do them, like for instance, making sure that the procurement procedures and so on were adhered to. Those kinds of things. Those should not be happening still. Everything, the government promised transparency, openness, accountability, and that is what should be delivered.
Right, and Mr. Mahan.
And it doesn't take a year and 4 months or whatever to deliver those things.
Right, but we
okay?
also said that, I could only speak about what I know. We also said that in the administration, when under Mr. Denzel Douglas, where they had, the Commissioner of Inquiry, and that didn't go nowhere. And now we have unity, and now we have this new administration. I just feel that for every government that goes in St. Kitts and Nevis, I find that I probably make any trouble for this, but this is not just even what I'm saying, you know what I mean? I'm here to represent the people. I find that we just gone in, and if we don't look sharp, just like what you said, you're spending the whole term on top of previous government.
Yes.
The people are suffering because in the meantime, people want job. I went up to Rams supermarket, right? By the way, Rams, this is something in good faith. You're getting some props with
You're going to
commercial
want sponsors, eh?
sponsorship, right? So it's in good faith. But anyway, you have people up there because people are looking for second jobs. And they said, Lavi, if it wasn't for Rams, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have my subjects. I can't get any job. And I know St. Kitts is very small, but they're going to have to find ways to create jobs and help creating jobs. One other thing, I'm supposed to be the host, yes, but I am very passionate when it comes to stuff like this because I'm a businesswoman as well. I'm an entrepreneur. And one of the problems I don't like with any government, right? We got to be careful when you're looking at entrepreneur. Entrepreneur do not have any numbers when it comes to age because once you're an entrepreneur, you're self-employed and you have people already 80, 90 if you're healthy. So you got to be careful when you're just saying the young because we have to know what we consider as young. You could be 80 young as well, right? And I'm just saying that we need to really have a wider range of inclusion and we need to connect the young and the old. Because I couldn't be where I am at today without having other persons. Persons who have inspired me was people that was not even as a hairdresser. They were persons that was in businesses that inspired me as well. And I would really like to see some workshops. They really have to find some way to get to employ people. Antigua, the Prime Minister, I was looking at something where the government of Antigua, I'm not sure if it's 200, but between 200 to 400 persons, they're actually having a workshop with them. All they have to do is to pay $20 for the registration, and they will be able to become contractors and plumbers. We need more of this in here. We have local people already. They're also, and the real talk, persons, like I said, are listening. I'm here for you guys. I'm just delivering what you said. The contractors out there saying, Lavi, all these years, the houses that was being built in St. Kitts was built from Kittitian.
Well, and that's a valid point. That's a real valid point. One of the things I think we
Kittitian and division, by the way.
One of the things we're not good at is settling down and really working, right? We're in this constant politics. And the government either is they always have to be reactive in that mode, answer everything. You need to settle down and get to work because, right, by now, things should have been rolling out in terms of getting the kinds of jobs and so on that people need. We have to have our priorities right. Things like a school and a hospital, we need those, right? But these are things that are going to require money to operate and maintain without bringing money into the economy. What's going to bring money into the economy going to be new investments that are going to provide growth, give people jobs, bring fresh money
I
in.
want to piggyback
And
off
that's what we need to be
Mr.
concentrating on.
McMahon has said, because I think that is very important. You look at the government, the present administration, and even past administrations, and it's always
I like that.
it's always well, when you were in, you didn't do it, so what you're talking about doing it now. At this point in time, if you have the opportunity, you're in government, you're in administration, you have been elected by the people, then your task to me is to fix the problems now, not to compare about who did it, who didn't do it then. Because at this point in time, the people elected you to solve the problem now.
Exactly.
So, and even looking at this administration, sometimes I wonder, is there a national agenda? Because is there something that this administration wants to say at the end of the day? I want to make sure that St. Nevis has moved from here to here, and ensure that there is a map to take St. Nevis from here to there. Because most of the times you suffer in government, and especially this administration, it seems to me very reactive. Whereas there is no, for me, observing no long-term plan, but a quick fix now if something is to happen now. We're going to do something now, so maybe they forget, or maybe we ease the burden now, rather than looking at it holistically, or even a very through the lens of, a wide lens as to what the future
picture.
would
Right.
have.
You,
So-
can, you can't operate a government by just putting out fires. You have to have some kind of long-term
But
strategy.
But Mr. McMahon and Azad, let's face it, let's be real. This has been happening all along from both sides. And what a lot of persons are saying, they're saying, Lavi, it seems as if, like, if you're not a part of these party groups, members, there's nothing for you. And it's been happening with all the parties. So, Azad, I'm going to ask you, right? If you were the prime minister, and I'm speaking prime minister in general, especially in a time like this, coming out of COVID, and you see how people change, and we know everybody from St. Kitts is not just about, like, we're not in a box anymore, we're global, right? What are the changes, or what change do you see yourself bringing as a leader? Not just holding a position, but being able to bring some change.
This is fundamental, I think, and this is something that I've thought about, not necessarily as a prime minister, but being a part of a political party, and perhaps a political party that's in office. How can we really and truly unite each other, where it is that even, I'm just going to say Mr. McMahon, I don't know which party you support, but let's say Mr. McMahon is a supporter of the Labour Party, whereby Mr. McMahon could feel comfortable to approach someone who is perhaps a member of the People's Action Movement, a member of Parliament of the People's Action Movement, and know at the end of the day that regardless that this individual is an MP of a party that he may not support, still has the feeling, the comfort to express himself to that person and to feel as though that point would be carried. And I said that fundamentally, I think we need to reach a stage, and I don't know if it's possible, because, well, yes, I don't know if it's possible, because, when you're in discussion with persons would say, that might be utopic.
Don't worry about that. Represent yourself.
Yes. So there needs to be a maturity, I think, that even though you support a different party, that we could come together in the best interest and feel comfortable speaking with each other. Because
how about those that are just neutral, and there are some educated people that they're not into any party, but they just want to see a good government.
But you see, one of the problems we have.
And I think if that could be done, and it might sound, I think if that can be done, then it could stem to do greater things in terms of having a really neutral base. Because I like to talk about, there's difference between the party politics and there's also governance. I think one should be able to separate party politics, ensuring that your party is popular, your party is doing what it needs to do, and then having the hat where you are now in government and take it from a government lens. I think two should be different.
But as it's always a case where You know, when you're in opposition, you see, you see everything clearly. When you get into government and now have the power to change things, it just doesn't happen. One of the statistics that is really alarming is the fact that 38% of people in St. Kitts and Nevis work for the government, working in some government institution. When you have that kind of statistic, it's difficult for the kinds of things that Lavi, for instance, want with the entrepreneurs and so on to flourish, right? And everybody tries to get into government. Everybody goes where the power centers gonna be, and so it's difficult to
And that is
All
another
right,
thing.
change
one
that,
second.
you know?
It's 8:53. Before we leave here tonight, I recognize that Mr. Azad and Mr. McMahon, like things are getting really nice. The conversation getting really nice. You know, we just have a few more minutes. So in the meantime, I just want you guys to maybe like focus on something that you would want to leave for the listening audience as we wrap up.
Okay, well, I just want to say, Lavi, thank you for the invitation to be here. I want to say to those persons outside and listening, we are going to create the Sinks and Nevis that we want. And so if it is that we want one that is divisive, so Sinks and Nevis that continues to tread between red or yellow, green or blue, and that is what we would get if that is what we manifest. I hope to see where we could have discussions and mature discussions in the future about policy and not just party. I look at debates by presidential candidates in the United States of America whereby, you know, if nothing else, they talk about the policies that they're going to bring. They talk about what they are looking for in terms of the nation, a national agenda. How are they going to tackle crime? How are they going to tackle unemployment? And persons asking questions from the media. There's a moderator. And so from that perspective, you have a understanding of what to expect and how it would be done. I think that we need to become more mature in that and not just hold on to popularity.
All right, it's 8:56. It was a pleasure having you here, and I hear you talk about the United States, you know, politics and everything. So it'll be good. Hopefully, I might get somebody on the opposition side and somebody on the receiving end that can come in and around the round table with Lavi Gumbs. I don't want no box and stone and such in here, though. I hope when we really bring it, we all are ready and could really be open and have some intelligent discussion. So, Mr. Gumbs, it was a pleasure having you here. We're short for time. You know, this is only 1 hour. If your people message me, Jeffrey Bass, Lavi, tell them you need 2 hours, an hour too short. But for now, I think an hour is good. You know, short and nice as we build the show. Mr. McMahon, I know you're here tonight, and I could see you were so happy to be engaging. You know, it was really nice. So, do you have any closing remarks or anything that you want to add?
I would like to see more young people become engaged in the politics.
Oh, yes.
One of the things I've noticed is that in the new administration is that there is a combination of young and old. Unfortunately, the old ones bring the baggage, and I haven't seen the young ones really come to the fore and push for change.
I
Okay,
live in St. Kitts, right? And I don't get, like, I don't want to what people call older. Like, you know, I hear this thing like young and old. You go to St. Thomas, right? And you see people coming out in the wheelchair, carnival, or any place. It doesn't stop. I feel like we cut off people here too quick. But anyway, he said 1 minute. So go ahead.
So I would like to see, because I think that the younger persons would quicker drive change, right? And so I'd like to see them more engaged. How to get that engagement?
Just to bring them on Lavi show. We have to go out when you see them.
Well, do it.
I have to
Just
continue
do
doing
then.
it. But anyway, we have to wrap up. It's a pity they can't give us a little 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me anyway. And
Of course, I'm going to get you back. And next time, we're going to get you back to really be engaged. But tonight was the first, you know. Once again, I am Lavi Gumbs, and next week we have a guest. He's going to be out of Jamaica. This is a craftsman. This is somebody, a Rastafarian. He's going to be coming on to share his stories with us. And we have a ram-pack people out there that want to come on. So far, everybody that have asked, it was like, yes, Lavi, and not forgetting those diasporas out there. Lisa, good evening. There's so many people, so thank you so much for being a part of the Real Talk with Lavi. See you next week.
Don't